Hello, everyone. Ted Clayton here. What we're going to do right now is we're going to read from the Black Lives Matter page, the What We Believe section. I've been meaning to read this for some time, but haven't gotten around to it, so I thought, why don't we read it together? I'll give my interpretation on things, how I see what they're explaining throughout the mission statement. But again, this is straight from their website. Yeah, let's go. Let's check it out. So, what we believe. 4 years ago, what is now known as the Black Lives Matter Global Network began to organize. Okay, so again, this already starting with global, and that's already a bad start. We're already at a bad start. But let's hear them out. Let's continue. It started out as a chapter-based, member-led organization whose mission was to build local power and to intervene when violence was inflicted on black communities by the state and vigilantes. Okay, so the whole thing with this argument is we don't really see police brutality specifically targeted towards minorities, towards black people. So this is where it becomes kind of confusing what their mission statement is, because there really isn't the data to back that up, and not even the data, there isn't really the reality to back that up. Now, vigilantes, do they mean just, like Klansmen and stuff like that, following them or trying to, get justice, quote unquote justice? I mean, we don't even really see that either. So this is stuff that not many people are really seeing. In the years since, we've committed to struggling together and to imagining, I hate the use of that word, imagining, especially in the modern world, imagining and creating a world free of anti-blackness, where every black person has the social, economic, and political power to thrive. Okay, so where are we seeing anti-blackness? See, that's another thing. In my opinion, excuse me, got a little itch there. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Gotta wipe. Gotta be safe. There isn't really any anti-blackness. I'm more of a person that believes in classism, and it just so happens that it's played out where the majority of blacks are poor. However, and we can get into that a little later, but however, it's played out like that for the dramatics, for the optics of things. But there's black people who are doing well off. Okay, and again, I will argue that black people do have power in all these avenues. Okay, Black Lives Matter began as a call to action in response to state-sanctioned violence and anti-black racism. Our intention, see, it's like, do they have proof? State sanctioned? That's a really serious, excuse me for constantly moving this. It's very difficult to talk with this. I have a long conversation and just keep it where it needs to be. And I have another itch. Okay. State sanctioned is a very strong term. All right, let's continue reading. Our intention from the very beginning was to connect black people from all over the world who have a shared desire for justice to act together in their communities. Shared desire, moving on. The impetus for that commitment was, and still is, the rampant and deliberate violence inflicted on us by the state. We keep hearing this word state. Let's continue. Enraged by the death of Trayvon Martin and the subsequent acquittal of his killer, George Zimmerman, and inspired by the 31-day takeover of the Florida state capitol by Power U and the Dream Defenders, we took to the streets. A year later, we set out together on the Black Lives Matter Freedom Ride to Ferguson in search of justice for Mike Brown and all of those who have been torn apart by, and again, this term, state-sanctioned violence and anti-black racism. Forever changed, we returned home and began building the infrastructure for the Black Lives Matter global network, which even in its infancy had become a political home for many. I don't like that last phrase right there. I don't like that last fragment there. Political home. Politics should be out of this kind of scenario. It needs to be more of a just movement. That's it. All right, we continue. And in regards to the impetus of these events, there's many different perspectives on this, and a lot of different information out there. And I won't call it disinformation. It's a lot of credible information out there that is a contrast to what we're seeing in the mainstream media, which makes a lot of sense. All right, continuing. Ferguson helped to catalyze a movement to which we've all helped give life. Organizers who call this network home have ousted anti-black politicians, won critical legislation to benefit black lives, and changed the terms of the debate on blackness around the world. Through movement and relationship building, we have also helped catalyze other movements and shifted culture with an eye toward the dangerous impacts of anti-blackness. This sounds like a political movement. When we're talking about ousting, it's not even that word, anti-black politicians. In short, when dealing with, I've always been a firm believer, and let's just put this out there. My nationality, I'm black and Puerto Rican. I grew up with my Puerto Rican side of my family. However, I also spent a lot of time with the black side of my family. That's not an estranged part of my identity. Knowing the plight of the black people in America, we need to focus on the family first. Focusing on politicians, that's kind of a distraction. That's not that's something that's an external factor that we don't need to really focus on. Okay, continuing. These are the results of our collective efforts. The Black Lives Matter Global Network is as powerful as it is because of our membership, our partners, our supporters, our staff, and you. Our continued commitment to liberation of all black people means we are continuing the work of our ancestors and fighting for our collective freedom because it is our duty. Let me just say this. It really doesn't even sound like a black person wrote this. Just in the language being used, it just doesn't sound like it. Not to say it wasn't, but it's just something void in the context of the words. Every day and really a lot of that is just for me, you know what it is? It's just, it's not touching on things that I think are important. That, continuing. Every day we every day we recommit to healing ourselves and each other and to co-creating alongside comrades, oh boy, comrades, allies, and family, a culture where each person feels seen, heard, and supported. We acknowledge, respect, and celebrate differences and commonalities. Is that right? We work vigorously for freedom and justice for Black people and, by extension, all people. Time out. Why are we talking about all people? We intentionally build and nurture a beloved community that is bonded together through a beautiful struggle that is restorative, not depleting. I don't know what that means. We are unapologetically Black in our positioning, in affirming that Black Lives Matter. See, now, right there, I gotta stop because they're using the name, and if you look at this, this is really tricky stuff right here. They're using the name, but then the words, actual words itself, to make a statement. But as we have seen to date, not all Black Lives Matter. But if you see it, if you read it here, it's capital BLM. In affirming that Black Lives Matter, we're continuing, and affirm another itch. In affirming that Black Lives Matter, we need not qualify our position. To love and desire freedom and justice for ourselves is a prerequisite, for wanting the same for others. Isn't that kind of like what's in the Constitution? We see ourselves as part of the global Black community. I don't know what that means. I mean, I thought there's only one. I mean, there's like Africans and stuff, but they kind of got their own thing going on, but continuing. And we are aware of the different ways we are impacted or privileged as Black people who exist in different parts of the world. We are guided by the fact that, this is already way too long. That's what I was talking about. Like, guys, I went to NYU. Like, I'm kind of smart. This is already way too long. Like, like, we still haven't got to the point. Why is there so many categories? Like, what's all these different points? It's just Black people need, support and equality and opportunities. That's kind of it, or just a chance. That's really just what it needs to be. Black people need a fair chance. That's it. We are continuing. We are guided by the fact that all Black Lives Matter. See, now here, the BLM is not all capitalized. Regardless of actual or perceived sexual identity, gender expression, economic status, ability, disability, religious beliefs, or disbeliefs, isn't that like atheism? Immigration status or location, isn't that like classism, sort of? Or economic status, location. Okay, there's no reason to say all that. And now we're bringing different qualifiers in here, which just be Black people. Come, all Black people, and let's work together. There doesn't need to be there doesn't need to be qualifiers. We make space for, like, with things like that, it's like, we'll work that out later. We need to kind of like get on the same page, and then we'll work out all the details later. We make space for transgender brothers and sisters to participate and lead. There's no need. Why do we need to bring that up? And this is where the whole thing of this movement being Marxist, a Trojan horse, comes in. There's no need to bring this up. There's still more. We are self-reflective and do the work required to dismantle cisgender privilege and uplift Black trans folk, especially Black trans women who continue to be disproportionately impacted by trans antagonistic violence. Why are we talking about all this? Cisgender privilege, we can debate that for sure. Trans antagonistic violence, not really. We could really talk about that too, but we don't need to get into all this. We build a space that affirms Black women and is free from sexism, misogyny, and environments in which men are centered. We're going to have to agree to disagree on that one. It seems like we live in a culture of misandry now. We practice empathy. I'm going to hold you to that. We encourage comrades. Oh, boy. We encourage comrades with the intent to learn about and connect with their context. I don't know what that means. We make our spaces family-friendly and enable parents to fully participate with their children. Excuse me. We dismantled the patriarchal practice that requires mothers to work double shifts, quote unquote, double shifts, so that they can mother in private even as they participate in public justice work. I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to go there. Again, with the patriarchal practice and the double shifts, everybody works double, triple shifts. So, what's your point? And, in public justice work, according to who, I think this is okay. I think this is what the paragraph everyone's been talking about online. We disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended families and quote-unquote villages, like communes, correct me if I'm wrong, that collectively care for one another, especially our children. Don't get kids involved into this. To the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. So, Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement. Requirement is a strong word. More like encouragement, encouraged, but not requirement. We foster a queer affirming network. Again, I don't even feel like we're talking about Black people anymore. We're including other people. We're so screwed, and then we're talking about other people. And then even if we're talking about Black people, it's like, why are we breaking these people down? What's the point of that? Like, what's the point of even if you just say Black people, that's good enough. Continuing, we foster a queer affirming network. When we gather, we do so with the intention of freeing ourselves from the tight grip of heteronormative thinking. That's a lot going on there. Or rather, the belief that all in the world are heterosexual unless she or he, she/he, or they disclose otherwise. That's going to be another video. We cultivate an intergenerational and communal network. Didn't I say that before? Network free from ageism. We believe that all people, regardless of age, show up with the capacity to lead and learn. That sounds like kind of insulting. Like, so if an old person comes, that you think, do you automatically think they're dumb? Just like you automatically, or we all automatically think everyone's heterosexual? I could be misinterpreting that. We embody and practice justice, liberation, and peace in our engagements with one another. I'll hold you up to that one. And that's it. After that, we just have some links to share the page. Then there's take action, join the movement to fight for freedom, liberation, and justice by signing up for updates, supporting our work, checking out our resources, following us on social media, or wearing our dope official gear. Okay, here's the mailing list, sign up, donate today. COVID-19 help. I saw, now when I was glimpsing, I saw this, and right there, that's a whole other thing where it's like, why is that even on that page? I would even appreciate if there was a different page for this. You know, like, okay, if you want to like have, you know, some resources for that, you know, that's fine. But why we got to talk about it in the mission statement? Excuse me for constantly moving. This is just very, I'm talking, so, you know, I normally don't like to talk with this thing on. So why is, you know, it's like, if you have an oppressed group of people, no one wants to talk about any other subjects, any other topic. We want to talk about our issues. We don't want to divide. We don't want to categorize. We want to talk about our topic, what's important to us, get to the bottom of things, and that's it. Not anything else. Help us fight disinformation. We need to see what you see. Black Lives Matter is a central target of disinformation, and you are a key line of defense. Report suspicious sites, stories as social accounts, and posts about BLM. Help us. So they want you to snitch also. Follow BLM on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You got some merch, Shop BLM. $25 for a crew neck shirt. $25 for a tee. Shop on, and just and that's it. You know, just corresponding links for the rest of the page, and that's it. Very interesting. That's basically that's my takeaway. Just from the simple fact that, without even really breaking everything down, really a lot of those things, which I actually do want to break down in other videos, because it's just so much to digest, to process. So, excuse me. It's so much to digest and process. You know, it does deserve its own. I'm still moving this. It does deserve its own conversation, but not now. You know, the breaking down the heteronormative thinking and the Western prescribed family structure, and make space for transgender brothers. We don't need to talk about that right now. That's, you know, just that alone, that's how I see it. if I were to join any organization, that would be the first thing. Is why is this so long? Why are we talking about all these things? This is something maybe we could talk in the first meeting, and not even like I haven't heard really anything about education amongst black people. Haven't even really heard a lot about strengthening the black family. I don't even see anything here about black men. I don't even feel like black men are really even. I don't feel like it's there's not a focus anywhere in here, or even a hint of a focus in here about black men. I see about black women and the fighting against sexism and what have you. But what about strengthening the black man? Strengthening their position, getting them back to their rightful place, or helping them get a better education, their health, things like that, their position in the family structure, in society, in the neighborhood. But we're talking about other stuff. So that's a turnoff for me. I would definitely not have an issue I wanted to say debating, but having a discussion with anyone from Black Lives Matter. At the same time, and I'm sure there's a lot of good people in the organization who really don't understand what's going on. This is a Trojan horse, guys. Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with what's going on here, the strategy being used here. We don't need to talk about all this. We need to talk about just one thing only: bettering the black community. That's it. It really just needs to be, as I said, all black people welcome.